I mean, yes, they do have the Apple TV, which is basically a smart box that turns your dumb TV into a smart TV. But even though it's called a TV, you do need an actual TV or a monitor in order for it to work.
But that's why when we say Apple TV is a hobby, that's why we use that phrase.
Well, I have some really good news. Apple's working on their own TV set. Yes, an actual TV this time. And here's everything we know about the real Apple TV and about the future of the Apple television. So yeah, grab some popcorn as always and enjoy. Okay, so why did Apple make an Apple TV box in the first place if they wanted to release an actual TV in the future? Well, Apple has actually released the first generation Apple TV back in 2007, then the second generation back in 2010, third generation with 1080p support back in 2012, and then fourth generation, which is by far, by the way, the biggest update. You get iOS-like apps, you get Siri integration, and much more features in 2015. Well, the only reason why Apple has released the Apple TV in the first place was because the TVs were just not so smart. They were pretty much dumb. I mean, back in 2007, the smartest TVs had USB ports, and some of them even a 1080p display. But that was pretty much it. So these were the smartest TVs at a time period, which was, well, yeah, they were pretty much dumb. But as time went on, the TVs actually started getting smarter and smarter, hence the smart TV naming scheme, which we've all seen recently. And the truth is, high-end TVs are so smart these days that they can pretty much do 90% of the stuff that the fourth generation Apple TV already does. I mean, you can watch Netflix on a smart TV from the actual Netflix app installed on the actual TV. You can also browse the web, which, by the way, you cannot even do on the Apple TV, by the way. And then you can also watch YouTube videos, and you can even play games on a smart TV. Yeah, mobile games, really simplistic mobile games, but still, if you really want to do that, you can do that directly on the TV. And on top of all that, the latest TVs support 4K, they support HDR, some of them even HDR10 and Dolby Vision. And Apple is so far behind with no 4K support on the current generation Apple TV and no HDR at all. So Apple definitely needs an Apple TV update soon. Now, a 4K Apple TV is definitely coming because of basically a number of reasons. Competition, Apple is behind, and the fact that all major Apple devices shoot 4K video now. And also Macs, most of Macs, except for the 12-inch MacBook, they actually support 4K video editing in Final Cut. You can even do that on the 12-inch MacBook. So 4K video editing is already here, and 4K video and 4K monitors and everything. And besides all this, we also have a few more really interesting pieces of evidence that show that Apple is currently working on the next generation Apple TV. Now, one such piece of evidence would be iTunes itself. So iTunes currently doesn't support 4K content at all. But some of the users who actually purchased some movies such as The Martian or Passengers, they were actually able to see 4K HDR on their purchase history, even though iTunes doesn't yet support 4K. Now, besides this, another example would be the co-founder of Fury Games. So he actually spotted Apple TV 6.2 in the TV OS 11 logs. So the current generation Apple TV, the fourth generation, is 5.3. So 6.2 would definitely be a new generation and a major step ahead. And then iOS developer Gil Rambo, I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name, he confirmed that both Dolby Vision and HDR10 are going to be supported in tvOS 11. So a 4K Apple TV with Dolby Vision and HDR10 as well is coming very soon. Most likely in September at the iPhone 8 announcement. Okay, so a 4K Apple TV doesn't really mean that Apple's actually working on an actual TV. But we've actually had some really interesting leaks recently. So a few leaked images were posted on Weibo coming from an assembly plant, showing what appears to be a TV set. So a silver, very slim TV model. Just joking. If you take a closer look, you can see that this TV actually has an Apple logo embedded onto the back. Now, I know, this can easily be faked. Just a random TV with an Apple sticker on it or something. But here's the thing. When you take a look at some leaked photos in general, what you really have to pay attention to is not necessarily the leaked product in the middle, but basically everything else except for the leaked product. So everything else in the picture. So for example, in this picture, you can see that the presumed Apple TV is in a dedicated room. And the image is actually seen through a security camera that's inside that room. So the image that you're seeing is from a different room, and that's actually a security camera and a TV, and the TV is inside that second room. And then take a look at how nice the room actually looks. So the desk style is actually really similar to the ones that Apple uses in the Apple stores. So take a look at those desks. And what's even more interesting here is the walls. So if you take a closer look at these two images, you can see that this is actually a sound room. So a room for testing high-end audio equipment. And we already know that Apple is very much into high quality audio, especially if you take a look at the HomePod. I mean, the HomePod is literally a speaker that also comes with a voice assistant, not a voice assistant that also comes with a speaker. So, and the chances of Apple including some very good speakers on their TV set are very, very high. I mean, the 5K Retina iMac has some amazing sounding speakers, and that's an iMac. A TV from Apple is going to be even more impressive. And even the 12-inch MacBook has some amazingly sounding speakers, and the iPad Pros. So yeah, high quality speakers are definitely coming in an Apple TV, an actual Apple TV. And then according to the original Weibo post description, here's what it says. So this would be a leak of the Apple OLED TV. So this Apple TV is about 60 inches in size. It comes with a narrow frame design, a metal shell, and at the bottom of the screen, on the bottom of the screen, there are two similar black spots, possibly for the camera. So an OLED Apple TV, 60 inches, most likely 65 inches, so 60 plus inches, and along with that really thin design and dual front-facing cameras, I mean FaceTime cameras on the bottom, and some amazingly sounding speakers, this definitely sounds a lot like Apple. Now the images might indeed be real, especially since one, Apple hasn't updated their TV in a while, well, 2 years basically, and two, Apple's really falling behind with all these smart TVs that are coming out. So maybe the 5th generation Apple TV won't be a box anymore, but an actual TV. Now the key selling features would have to be the picture quality, the sound quality, the Apple TV box, so to say, should be built into it, obviously, so full tvOS 11 support, and then obviously it has to be cheap. It would have to be cheap in order to sell. So if Apple starts selling this for like $5,000 to $6,000 or pounds, I don't know, people will most likely just skip this, especially if they've recently bought a high-end TV for that price. Now, as for the actual specs, I would say that in order for this TV to be worth it, it will have to last you for at least 3 years, especially if it's going to be in that price range. So at least 3 years, I would say. So an Apple A10 processor or an Apple A9 processor would be the options. Now the Apple A8 processor is included with the 4th generation Apple TV. So with the 5th, especially if it's actually going to be a full TV, and also considering the price, it's most likely going to come with the Apple A10 chip. At least it should. So cheap, smart, and amazing picture and amazing sound quality would definitely make this a success. But I really don't think that this is going to be cheap, honestly. But let me know in the comments what you guys think about all this. Would you actually buy an Apple TV to replace your current TV, or do you prefer the smart box approach, in which you have a box that you connect to your TV and you add additional features to that TV, such as AirPlay and all the Apple apps and the App Store? So let me know in the comments which option would you prefer. Box to connect it to your Samsung TV, for example, so that you have AirPlay, all of your iTunes purchases and apps and so on, or an actual smart TV from Apple. But in the end, Apple definitely needs to make something special if they want to keep customers purchasing their Apple TV. Otherwise, as TVs are getting smarter and smarter every single year, there would be no need for the Apple TV box in about 2 to 3 years time. So yeah, they need to do something special soon. But yeah, other than that, if you have enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe for more interesting videos like this one. And also don't forget to enable notifications of my channel. You can do that by simply tapping on that bell icon, and you'll be notified as soon as I upload a brand new epic video. Yeah, this is pretty much it. Also let me know in the comments if you managed to eat all of your popcorn and obviously made it until the end of this video. And feel free to give this video a like if you have enjoyed it to let me know. But yeah, other than that, thank you all for watching. I'm Daniel, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Zen of Tech, signing out. Cheers.